I've done several videos on taking long-distance passenger trains in the US and Canada, and in all of those videos I've included some information on using a radio scanner to allow listening in on the train dispatchers, the locomotive engineer, and the conductor. It offers a lot of useful information that makes the trip much more enjoyable, and you can be more informed about maybe why the train is pulling over onto a siding. You can hear the changes in speed restrictions, all sorts of things that are really an enhancement to the trip. Simple radio scanners such as this one here are very affordable, well under $100 in most cases, and they're perfectly adequate for the task. You can do better with an antenna, perhaps a long whip antenna, but they tend to be unwieldy, and you'd certainly be frowned on if you tried using these anywhere in the train other than maybe your private room. They just are too likely to poke somebody in the eye or cause another problem. And so I always just use the so-called rubber ducky short flexible antenna, and I found it works very adequately. So in this little video I'm going to provide a few pieces of information that people have asked in my train videos about how you set up a scanner and how you get the frequencies and how you get them into the scanner. And I'm hoping that'll be useful to other people wanting to do the same thing. First off, I only have experience with this one model of scanner, but from what I've read, most scanners are pretty typical. It can be seen here that right now this scanner is scanning bank 1 of its memory, and I can go in here and push a button and engage bank 2. Well, if I push it right I can. There, now it's scanning banks 1 and 2, and I can turn off bank 1. Now it's only scanning bank 2. Apparently most scanners are organized into banks of frequencies, and a typical size is 20 frequencies per bank. So right now you can see that it's scanning bank 2 only, and it's going from it looks like about 20 up to about 40, which would make sense, 20 frequencies, and does it very quickly, and then comes and locks in on a frequency whenever there's something there. Right now I've got police and fire on bank 1, so occasionally it comes up with something. And I've got the squelch turned up pretty high, so most of the annoying static and so on is not part of it. If I turn the squelch down, you get a lot more of this kind of thing. So I have the squelch turned up higher, so there's less of that. And you can see every so often it'll get something on a frequency and it'll stop and play whatever's on that frequency until there's no more audio there, and then it'll go on and continue scanning. So right now it thinks there's something on channel 5, but now it went back to scanning. So you can see how that generally works. I've got my scanner organized with each train trip that I take given its own bank, besides police and fire on bank 1. So for example, the California Zephyr of Amtrak might be bank 2, and the Southwest Chief might be bank 3, and the Empire Builder might be bank 4. This scanner can hold quite a few banks, and therefore I could have all the different Amtrak routes programmed in with their own banks and engage whichever one I want for the trip I'm on, and then not worry about it again. It's all set up. So I'm going to go from this point into how to find the frequencies that are used and how to get them into your computer preferably, and then into the scanner. To get the frequencies that are used on various Amtrak routes, I start here at a website called ontrackonline.com. There's the hyphen between the on, the track, the on, and the line. And you get to this home page for OnTrack Online, And over on the left, you'll see these different options, and one of them is AMTK frequencies. That stands for Amtrak frequencies. If you go there, it takes you to this page, and it has all the different routes. So let's pick something good here, like the City of New Orleans. So I go over here to City of New Orleans, and it comes up with the following frequencies. Now this one isn't the best example because it only has a few frequencies, so I'm going to go back and find something with a bit more. How about the Sunset Limited? We'll try this one. This is a little bit more like it. There's a longer list of frequencies for the Sunset Limited. And just a quick tally shows that there's probably a bit more than 20 different frequencies listed here. But that's not the end of the story. There's also annotations here, which are not really that important when you put them into the scanner. But you can see here that it'll say when you're in the New Orleans station, the frequency is 160.440 megahertz. When you leave New Orleans until you get to the Huey P. Long Bridge, you're at 161.190. Once you get over into Lake Charles and Beaumont, Texas, in that area, you're at 160.365, and it goes on until you get over here by Los Angeles, and maybe you're at 160.815. So now I want to open up a spreadsheet. I use Microsoft Excel, so I just have a blank Excel spreadsheet page up here. And then I'm going to want to switch back to OnTrack Online. And all the frequencies are unfortunately organized over to the right. It'd be nicer if they were on the left. Makes it a little easier to select them, but you can see here when I try to select them and then go down more than one row, it selects everything in all the rows here. So I'm just going to have to live with that, but I don't want to get the notes at the bottom or the title at the top. So I'm trying it again here. I've got selected everything, go down. Now I've just got the annotations and the frequencies, and I'm going to put those into my clipboard, which in Windows is Control-C. I go back and do the spreadsheet and do a Control-V, which is paste, and now everything's in the spreadsheet. The first thing I want to do is get rid of the data that is not frequency information, which is columns A, B, and C here. So I'm going to select A, B, and C and just delete them. Now all I have left is the frequencies. The next thing to do is get it set up for sorting, but I know Excel won't sort unless all the rows have the same height. So I've checked, and the rows are nominally 15 points high. So I go down here and change the ones that have a different height to be 15. There's probably an automatic way of doing this, but I don't remember what it is, so I'm doing it this manual way. I only have to do it a few times. Now there's about 3 places where one frequency is spanning 2 rows, which is a carryover from the way it pasted in. So I'm going to go over here and convert those so that I don't have the one frequency spanning the 2 rows. And that's just a little bit of manual manipulation. That doesn't always happen. It happened coming from this one particular page of OnTrack Online. So now I have everything with the proper formatting, and you notice some of these things are in italics, but I'm going over here now and selecting sort from lowest to highest. So now everything's in numerical order. And I'm finding places now that they're in order. You can see when there's two frequencies that are the same, they're right next to each other, and I'm deleting the extra ones. There's no point in having the same frequency in there twice. Now, for example, at the bottom I see 161.55 is in there 3 times, so I select the last 2 occurrences and delete them. Now I've only got one of each frequency, and I'm going to save this for posterity just in case something goes wrong with the rest of the process. So I'm saving it as, a file name like freaks. It's a little hard to read here with the screen capture, but that's what's going on. Okay, now that that's saved, I want to find out if this will all fit in one bank. So I go here and just do a quick check, and I can see that the frequencies only take up 16 rows of the spreadsheet. So there's only 16 frequencies that'll easily fit into a bank of 20. Now, the trick that I have with my scanner is that the scanner's made by Uniden, and the software that allows it to be programmed from a personal computer is made by ArcSoft, I think in the Netherlands. And even though I bought both the scanner and the software from the same company, I think it was Scanner Master, there's somewhat of a lack of coordination between the two, and it doesn't always work perfectly. The trouble I have is that the software doesn't always see the scanner. I'm going to try it here and see if I can get it to work. This is a special cable that is intended to interface between this scanner and a USB port on a personal computer. And I've already plugged it into the computer, and the computer sees it's a valid device, and it's plugged into the scanner. And now I'm going to go over to the ArcSoft program, and let's see, read data from scanner. That's a good thing to start with. So I push that, and it shows the different banks that are available here. It's supporting 10 banks in the software. So I'm going to go read data from scanner, and it goes through here and it's checking the different ports, and if it works the way it usually does, it won't find it on the first try. I think it usually ends up going up around port 8 or something. Oh, it found it the first try. It read the data in. And now I can go over here and didn't find it. Try it again. Here's the problem. I had all the banks turned off, so I'm going to turn them all on here. It's going to read everything. Now I'm going to read the data from the scanner. It's going to go through the same manipulations again. There it goes. Now it's reading the channels. Okay, so now if I go over here to Bank 1, you're going to see that it's got a few of my local police and fire frequencies. If I go to Bank 2, I think that's the Empire Builder. It's got room for 20 frequencies. I'm using 19 of them. And I think this channel, Bank 3, is the Southwest Chief. Bank 4, I believe, is the Texas Eagle. Bank 5 is in there. I believe that is the Via Rail Canadian train. Bank 6. I know this is the California Zephyr, and I used all 20 frequencies in that bank. So what I want to do here is go to a bank that currently has nothing in it, Bank 7, and I'm going to put in the frequencies from my Excel spreadsheet that I got from Amtrak Online. Okay, so now I'm back into the spreadsheet, and I'm going to select my frequencies and copy them to the clipboard. So now they're copied, and I switch back to my scanner programming software, and in the new bank I'm going to paste those in. So now the frequencies are pasted in. And there's still a few more things to do here. I have to set up a column for delays, for lockout, and priority. So I'm checking the other banks I've already got to see how they're set up. And I can see the delay is turned on for everything, the lockout is turned off, and the priority is on for the first one and off for all the others. That probably isn't really necessary, that's just the way I've got it set up. So I'm back into track 7. Whoops, I went over to 5 here for a moment. Back to bank 7, and I'm going to select on for the first row, the first frequency, and then there's a a tool to fill everything down so I don't have to type on for every frequency. First I select everything, and then I do a fill down, and it turns everything to on as far as the delay. That just makes the scanner a little less jumpy in the way it scans. I notice the lockout is already turned off, and the priority I've turned on for the first frequency. Now I'm just going around and I'm going to check a few other channels here, or a few other banks, make sure everything looks good before I save it back to the radio. And let's see, everything looks good there. And it should be ready to load into the radio now. Okay, I just programmed Bank 7 in the software, and I'm going to go to the scanner here and put it on scan of Bank 7 and turn off scan of Bank 1, and you can see it stopped scanning because there are no frequencies currently in the scanner for Bank 7. Nothing to scan. So I go back to my software here, and I go up to the option for send data to scanner. And I'm going to make sure all channels are selected, and you can, in this software I can turn them all off, I can turn them all on, or individually select them. I'm going to select send to scanner, and once again it's going to go through here and check all the ports before it finds it up around port 8. Now it's sending the data, and I can look over here and see that the radio has switched into program mode, which means it's receiving the data or sending data to the software. It's nearly done. I'm going to go back and look at the radio. And it went back into scan, and now it's scanning bank 7 because now there are frequencies in it. So if I was on that train trip now, I'd be getting information while scanning bank 7, and I could listen in, and there's no need to change it anywhere during the route because it's scanning all the frequencies that Amtrak uses for that route. Then if I go to take another trip like the California Zephyr, I can just remember that that is bank 6, turn on scan of bank 6, turn off scan of bank 7, and now I could be on the California Zephyr listening in. It's really that simple. Hope this helps you guys.